everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we are so excited because we are joined by retired 9-year NFL veteran and Emmy-winning broadcaster, Erik Coleman. Erik, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show. Erik with a K. I got to start out with that. First of all, I don't know what's going on if you paid some sort of fee to my iPhone, but every time I do talk to text and I say my husband's name, Erik with a C, it changes it to Erik with a K. I don't know what's going on with that, but I sort of love it. Great name. Thank you for joining us. How you doing today? We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And that's that autocorrect that the the iPhone is picking up the right way to spell Erik.
Oh, is that? See, but by the way, I can commiserate with you on this. So your name is spelled maybe slightly differently than the traditional Erik, E-R-I-C. My name, Lara, is L-A-R-A, not L-A-U-R-A, like so many people spell. That's a common spelling of it. So I got to tell you, my entire life, what a disaster. People are like, how do you say your name? Is it Lara? Is it Laura? I'm like, it's a Lara, but it's a disaster. So I feel you on that. We can have that together. Obviously, people know you because of your NFL career, obviously being a professional athlete, something I've always wanted to do. Maybe there's still time. I don't know. I just turned 41, Erik. But was that always sort of your goal? As a kid, you were like, one day I'm going to play in the NFL. Is that always something you wanted to do?
So, it's funny you asked that because, as a kid, I always loved, I'm originally from Northern California and I grew up in Eastern Washington, and I always loved the San Francisco 49ers. I grew up loving them, but I played all three sports. So I played football, basketball, baseball, and football was my least favorite of them all because I didn't really like the contact when I was young, but I grew to like it. I grew to love it, but I never did I think that this would become a career. When I was early in high school, I actually wanted to be in law enforcement. I had this whole plan. I was like, I'm going to go to the Marines, then I'm going to, get out of the Marines. I'm going to go into the FBI and do the law enforcement thing. But football turned out to be the best option for me. And it was definitely a blessing. And I'm glad I went that direction.
So it's interesting to me. My dad played football in college. He actually was part of the 49ers team for a moment. He got in a very bad motorcycle accident, broke his collarbone, and he never played a single game. But he was a linebacker, by the way. Back in the day, I think you and I are about the same age. I saw your birthdays in 1982. So shout out to the 80s babies. Something great about that. But what's funny is my dad, although his football career was something that took him then to California, had he not moved there, things in his life would have kind of gone in such a way that I don't think he ever would have met my mom. And you could argue that I probably wouldn't be here right now. However, his favorite sport to play, and he still plays today, is basketball. So, you're talking about all three sports. Do you still play basketball? Or are you still, what's going on with you athletically these days?
So athletically, I would love to continue to play basketball, and that was my favorite sport. Unfortunately, I stopped growing at 5'11", and there wasn't really much need for a 5'11" point guard. But I do love basketball. I play with my son on occasion. Just a funny story: after I retired, I still work out. I still live to stay in shape and try to stay active as I can. But I went to the gym and I was like, I'm going to play basketball, and I got so excited to go play hoop. And I'm warming up, and there's a game plan. And right as I'm about to go onto the court, my knee starts hurting, and I look at my knee, and it's like a balloon. And I looked at it, and I said, "What happened to my knee?" And it was like my body was telling me, "Enough is enough. I gave you 9 years in the NFL, college football. No more basketball for you. Just go ahead and chill out and be a couch potato."
Well, okay, so I can appreciate that, and only because you said that you did play, of course, for 9 years. In the NFL. And that is a long time. I think the average length of an NFL career is somewhere in the neighborhood of just over 3 years or so. So you were kind of 3 times longer than the average player from what I can gather. However, here's what I'll say to you, Erik. My dad is, what is he, about to turn 77? And he is in a senior basketball league in the state of North Carolina. He is the all-time highest scorer in the entire history of the state in this senior basketball league. So I'm just saying your chance still could be down the line. We've got some ways to go. Maybe do some cold plunging, get that knee back ready. And I don't know, maybe you and my dad could play basketball at some point. So it's not totally over yet. You did say, obviously, you did have a very long career, but whenever you decided that it was time to go, what led you to that decision? Because, I mean, 9 years doing anything is a long time, especially having an NFL career.
Yeah, that was towards the end of my career. You can kind of see the writing on the wall. As a veteran playing 9 years, there's a league minimum, so the minimum continues to go up each year you play. And my second to last year, I was in Detroit. I broke my leg. I was out for the season. I fought to come back that next year, and I just wasn't the same. And so I kind of started to see that I wasn't the player that I was once before, and so I started trying to prepare for life after football. I did internships to do broadcasting. I would work with like the local affiliates broadcasting. I would go on internships. I would try to go, ask a lot of people, what do they do for a living, trying to figure out what is going to be my next step. But my wife was a big motivating factor in that. She would always ask me, what are you going to do after football? And my mother-in-law is a little Sicilian lady. She's an immigrant, and I would explain football to my mother-in-law and kind of like walk her through the game. And my wife's like, oh, you should go into broadcasting. And I was like, no, never. I'm never going to do broadcasting when I'm done. And, lo and behold, when I was done playing, I got a phone call, got an opportunity to go into broadcasting.
And I mean, I think that's great. And it's interesting, too, because I think there are so many kids today who look at someone like you and they're like, wow, that's what I want to do one day. I want to be a football player. I want to play. My son, by the way, always tells me, and I don't know what led him to this. We're not especially like Cowboys fans in my house. He's like, I'm going to play football for the Cowboys one day. I'm like, all right, dude, like, great. He's 6, by the way, so we have some time. But it's funny because I don't think a lot of professional athletes in general think about post, career in football. What do you do? But you really did, Erik, as you said, put a lot of emphasis on your post-playing career. And I think that's very smart. And I hope people take notes from you and kind of look down the line, because the truth is you can't do sports forever. I mean, I still believe that I'm as good as I once was at a lot of things. Not that I'll ever admit that I'm not, but at a certain point, your body takes a lot of beating, especially doing a sport like football. What was that transition though? Like to go from being a professional athlete to the broadcast booth, because they're incredibly different. And maybe like your first broadcast, how was that?
Oh, that's funny. Because, as a player, you sit there and you watch people on television talk about the sport, and you just assume that it's so easy. And, it was a very tough transition to answer the first part of your question. When I got done playing, I didn't realize that I wanted to go into broadcasting. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, what was my next step. And when I was playing, I was always like, I'm Erik Coleman, and I'm more than a football player. But when I was done, it was like, okay, what are you? What are you going to do? And so, there's still a lot of different businesses that I've been involved in and that I am involved in, and some things that I've learned. But when I got into broadcasting, I got a phone call from the Jets, and they heard that I was on Long Island, and they said, would you like to come and do this show and talk about the Jets? And at that time, I hadn't really watched football that much. So it was about a year after I was done. I come into the studio, and they're like, put my makeup on me, tell me what we're going to talk about, and it's a live broadcast. And they're like, all right, we're going live in 3, 2, and my heart was just jumping out of my chest. I'm like, this is live. And it's one thing when you're getting interviewed. That's pretty easy to answer right. questions. But when you have to ask questions, when you have to bring up points, you have to really prepare. That was something that I wasn't ready for, but definitely got used to it. It's a grind. As you know, broadcasting is a grind. You have to do your research. You have to study. You have to put in the hours, and you have to get the repetitions to become, the best at your craft. And that's one thing that I tell the young guys is like, you didn't become the best football player overnight. You had to work at it and continually get better. It's the same thing when you're done playing sports. You have to be diligent. You have to work hard. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the hours, and that's in anything you do really in life.
Yeah, I think they say it takes 10,000 hours to master something, repeatedly doing the same thing, whatever it is. Maybe that's why my dad is so good at basketball, because we had a basketball hoop outside of in our driveway. My entire childhood, it's still there. And I mean, my dad would go out for hours and shoot baskets, and don't even mess with him on a free throw, because he will get you for sure. There's a reason. So I want to ask you, it would be easy to have a great NFL career and then transition to doing broadcasting, kind of say, you know what, I'm just going to do my thing. but you actually want to do things, Erik. I think it's a wonderful trait to help other people. You are involved in the Guardian Recovery Network, helping families dealing with addiction, the Children's Brain Tumor Foundation, the As One Foundation, helping those with sickle cell anemia, and you've even won awards for your mentorship. So where did this drive to give back come from? Because it does take a lot to do something outside of yourself that you are not directly receiving any benefit from. I think it's very commendable to see.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I think the drive comes from my upbringing. I was raised, I was raised in a Christian home, but it was a troubled home. My parents were divorced. Drug addiction was prevalent in my house. And, things weren't easy for me growing up. When I was getting recruited to go to college, my mother was in prison. And there was a lot of people in the community that poured into me, that gave me their energy, that helped me get out of my situation. And so once I got to the NFL, I just felt like it was only right for me to give back, and show those kids that there is an opportunity, that someone that looks like you can be successful and make it out of this neighborhood and out of these circumstances. So I try to pour as much as I can into the children, into giving back. And the reason I do so much with the kids is because they don't really have a voice. I try to be that voice for them. I try to be the example for them to lead them in the right direction, and as I do for my kids as well. So I'm definitely blessed to have played in the NFL. To become a successful person, successful father, successful husband. And I want to share those lessons that I've learned along the way. And I feel like the more I can get involved in giving back, the better off that the world will be.
Well, I love it. And I mean, what a great example for your own kids. And how old are your kids, Erik?
So my son is 9, I have a daughter that's 12, and I have a daughter that's 15. So,
wow. It is. Yeah, it's so great that they have a dad who is really, you're leading by example. It's not that you have to sit them down and say, here are the things you should do. They actually just look at what you are doing. And I think we need a lot more of that. This world would be a much better place if we had more of that. What about your kids? Are they into sports? Do you think your son would ever get into football? What's the story there?
Yeah, my kids are definitely athletes. My wife was an athlete. She ran track in high school and is still big into fitness. So eating right, getting involved in sports, working out is a big part of our home. My oldest daughter, who's a freshman, she's a lacrosse player. She's a swimmer. She runs track and field. So she's involved in a lot of different sports. My middle daughter is a lacrosse player, and she's still trying to figure out which sport she likes the best because, she's a great athlete. And my little guy, my son, he plays football. That's all he wants to play. He does play a little basketball, but, he tells me all the time that he's going to be better than me in football.
Oh.
And, I'm going to be a first-round pick. So it's really cool to see, what I did as a career rub off on him. He loves trading cards. He loves all that stuff. So I'll definitely let him play football. Let him play tackle probably when he's in middle school. But for now, all 3 of my kids are actually playing flag football. So we're heavy into flag football right now.
I love it. What position does he play?
So he actually plays wide receiver, and he's a safety on defense. So it's kind of funny. During his games, I'll stand behind their defense, and I'll tell him, I'm like, Enzo, okay, this is what you have to do. Step back a little bit, read his eyes, and just go get the ball. And he'll go do it and get an interception or something and look back at me. It's a great feeling.
Well, he's got the right dad to tell him how to play that position. That's for sure. I think it's so cool that all your kids are playing flag football. Little known fact about me, Erik, I actually played flag football. It was like a club team in college or something. And someone was like, want to play flag football? And I've loved football. I actually, truth be told, like watching college football more than professional football, only because I think there's just so much more heart in the game. And I feel like I love the rivalries of the different schools. But I played on a flag football team at NC State in college, and we actually went to the national championships because we beat every other team. It was a co-ed team in the state of North Carolina. And then I forget who took us out. It was like Minnesota or somebody, but nonetheless, not bad. Okay. So I don't know. Awesome. We could see it happening for your kids too. I love that they're doing flag football. Is that what you would recommend? You said you wouldn't let your son play tackle football until he's, what'd you say, 13?
Yeah, about middle school. I think that's the best way. Playing flag football, you learn all the different skills. You get to run routes. You get to play in space. You get to learn a lot of transferable skills to the tackle football game. And there's no rush. There's no rush to go out there and play tackle football. Suscept yourself to the head injuries and
Yeah.
all the things that come along with those. I think once he's older, I think that'll be a great move for him. But for now, flag football is great. It's become an Olympic sport in 2028. They're playing it internationally, and both boys and girls can play it. It's a great sport.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's good. It's good advice. It's funny because my husband and I have slightly differing views on things because I grew up so involved in football because of my dad. I loved it. And I was always like, you know what, one day if I have a son and he wants to play football, I would love that. My husband, of course, is like, I don't know. There's all the traumatic brain injury stuff, kind of like what you're talking about. But then my son loves watching football. Like I said, he says he's going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm totally here for that. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. I don't know. In 14 years, we'll see where things go.
Yeah, it's tough to deny them when they're so passionate about stuff. It's like,
I know.
Passionate about it. Let's push you ahead.
This is what I said to my Eric. I'm like, listen, you're the one who likes him to watch football with you. So don't be upset when he comes around. He's like, hey, I definitely want to play football. We know where I stand on it. All right, before we let you go, Eric, I do need to get your professional opinion. I don't know who better to ask than you. Who goes to the Super Bowl this year? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a big one. Okay, so I told you I'm a 49ers fan, like growing up, and they're playing great football right now. Their defense is great. Brock Purdy's throwing the ball well. So I like San Francisco coming out of the NFC. And if I had to pick a team out of the AFC, I can't deny how well Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are playing right now. They're the number one rushing team in the NFL. They play great defense. And I think, as it gets colder, as you get, closer to January, February, those tough teams, those physical teams kind of start to prevail. And they have a playmaker in their quarterback. So I like Baltimore versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, we have a prediction here. I'm sorry we do have a Buffalo Bills fan who is here with us, who's behind the camera. So he'll be very upset that you didn't put them in there.
I can't go for Buffalo. I'm a New York Jet. Patriots, Buffalo, Miami, they're out of here.
All right, it's done. Well, I do have a lot of friends and 49ers fans who would like to hear this prediction. So thank you, Eric. Eric, we really appreciate having you on. Where can people follow you, find out more about all the things you're involved with if they want to?
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited and happy with the opportunity. I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram at Erik Coleman. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on everything. ErikColeman.
God, LinkedIn. Do you know I don't even know what my LinkedIn password is, and I get random alerts from LinkedIn all the time. I love that you're on LinkedIn. So well, if I ever get my password back, I'll look you up there. Erik Coleman, thanks for coming on with us. Thanks for being such a great example for kids across the country. My son probably included. He'll be very excited to know that I now have interviewed a professional football player, and he's going to look you up, I'm sure, and be even more impressed with his mom, even more impressed than he will be when he learns that I went to the National Flag Football Championship, taken out in the first round. But that's neither here nor there. You are the greatest. Thank you for joining us. And to everybody at home, as always, thank you for being with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it. So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, L-A-R-A-T is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LARAT so you can get yourself one of these today too. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. If you're listening right now and you want to get these products, go to organicbodyessentials.com, use promo code Trump, save yourself a little bit of money and do something great for your skin. One way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. If you want to get yourself some Kingdom Fuel protein powder as well, go to sherwood.tv. You can use promo code Trump when you check out for a little bit of savings, and you're going to get a delicious, great protein powder to fuel you through your day.